Hey, everybody. Today, I'm really excited to talk about the breakdown of my free challenge group. I've got all the stats for you, and this is part of a 3-part series about my free challenge group, which hopefully will help you with challenge groups in the future. So this is the second of 3 in the series, and I'm about to spill it all, so stick around.
You're listening to Marketing Tips with Meliss podcast.
Welcome to Marketing Tips with Meliss podcast. And now your host, Meliss-Ep.
All right, today we're talking about the breakdown of my free challenge. I just ran my very first challenge and it was very successful. And so I have a 3-part series where in the last episode, I explained how I set up the challenge. In this episode, I'm breaking down all the numbers and the data that came from the challenge. And then I've got one more episode coming next about tech issues and things that don't necessarily go as planned. So I have the numbers here for you. This was my very first challenge and I got 75 people signed up for the challenge. The goal was to get more cold leads in the door, but we didn't end up doing so well on that just because of the timing and getting things ready in time and then COVID and a lot of other external circumstances that were beyond us. But I was pleased with 75 because a lot of them were warm, and I'll explain that in a little bit when we get to those numbers. But that definitely helped. It was easier to have a successful challenge with a smaller group of warm leads than it was to have a larger group of cold leads, although both would have done well. And next time I run this challenge, if I choose to run the same challenge and I want to get more cold leads in there, we will definitely compare the numbers against this. So 75 people signed up. 65 of those people remained subscribed after 7 days. So that's 86.67% of the people were still subscribed to my list 7 days later. 73 of the 75 joined the Facebook group. That's a huge percentage, 97.33%. That lets me know that the copy and the directions that I gave were very clear and everybody knew what they needed to go do. So 73 of 75 people went into the Facebook group, which is where the challenge was held. 49 people subscribed to the Messenger bot to get their free workbook download. That's 65.33% of the people. So more than half of the people subscribed also to the bot. And 45 people were sent the first kickoff reminder email. So that's 60% of the people who participated in this challenge were already a part of it right before the whole event kicked off. And of those, 40% of them opened their email and 11% of them clicked, which is really high open rate and a really high click rate. And then 54 of the 75 people were sent the session 1 starts tomorrow email. So we're getting closer to the challenge. That 72% of the people were part of the challenge like the day before. And of those people, 44.44% of them opened and 14.81% clicked, like outstanding open and click-through rates. Of the 75 people in the challenge, 65 were sent the event starts in 15 minutes email. So what that lets us know is that 86.67% of the people were ready for the challenge right when the challenge started, like even 15 minutes before. That means the other percentage of people, those last 10 people, they kind of trickled their way in throughout the week. But the majority of them, 86.67% of them, were already in the challenge right when we were getting started. And that email that I sent 15 minutes before was opened by 49.23% and 18.46% of those people clicked. Really outstanding open rates. That means there's a lot of excitement. That means the copy was really good, the direction was good, the branding was good, and people are really drummed up and ready to go in. Now, of the Facebook group, we had 45 people who introduced themselves on the introduction post. That's amazing. That's 60% of the people actually took the time to introduce themselves. That means they're already engaged from the beginning. And there were 95 comments on that intro post. Really, really amazing. So a lot of conversation and going back and forth and creating that community and that excitement. 58 people participated in our contest. And we had a really big contest where I was giving away a full scholarship to my mastermind program for people who participated. And you can get different points, which were valued at 1 entry each. And then we had a drawing qualifying for that prize. So a lot of people participate in that contest. 77.33% of my participants participated in that contest. It's huge. Now, of the participants, 40% of them were warm market, which means that I had already started conversations with them, or they were already in my social media world, or I had already built some sort of relationship with them. It doesn't mean that I've worked with them before. They're still prospects. They were not clients. Maybe one or two were past clients of a smaller package or an old thing that I had done in the past, but a lot of them were new to my world within the last 2 months. So 40 people were warm market. That's 53.33% of the group. 12 people were added by their friends, so 16% of the group was added by their friends, and that leaves 23 people was the cold market. So 23 people were complete strangers. They'd never heard of me before, and they hopped on in there, and their friends weren't in there as well. They just found me and got in. That's from our marketing, and that was 30.67% of the group. So I'm really pleased with this percentage. And like I said, if I were to run this challenge again or another challenge, I would try to increase the cold market number. That would be our goal to increase. So the budget, we spent $702 on our Facebook ads, just all 3 phases of our ads. We had the pre-challenge phase, the during challenge phase, and the post-challenge retargeting phase. We spent $702. We split tested 67 different ads. So I had 67 different ads running that we set up here in the agency, and our best landing page view ad was $1.25 per registrant, and then our best video view ad was 77 cents. And just as a side note here, retargeting means that what we did with that budget is we had a really high budget, but we had a really small group that we were reaching. So when we're retargeting, it's people who are already a part of the challenge. They're already a part of the group. They're already on my email list. And I am sending them an ad for something, either to my program or to remind them to go do something. So those are retargeting ads. So that means instead of me reaching a huge cold market of millions of people on Facebook, I was literally only reaching these 75 people. So it was a small group reach, and I put a really high budget there, which you don't even need. Only 5% of your marketing budget should go there, maybe 10, depending on the strategy. So I just put a really high budget there, knowing that we wouldn't use that whole budget because it was a high budget and a small group reach for the retargeting. And what that means is that you get a really high reach at a really low cost. So that's what we did. And now for the final numbers. We made $16,000 in revenue from the challenge, minus $702 for Facebook ads, and I had to pay my team a little bit. It was $767. So the net profit of this challenge was $14,531. And just to note, I think it's interesting that 75% of the buyers participated in all of the homework assignments. So it was a super active group. They were participating, they were taking action, they were really moving through the process and getting to understand my teaching style and what it is that we would learn if we were to go even further. So it's really important in a challenge that you convey all of that. And the more excitement that you can get, the better, because that participation is going to turn into an investment. They're investing into themselves. So that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to purchase your program, but it does mean that they're investing in the relationship with you, and that relationship will continue to grow over time. Maybe eventually they would want to work with you, but maybe not too. That's okay. But the point is to build a relationship and provide lots of value. And if they're responding to you by doing their homework, then that is a good indicator that you were doing a good job. So 75% of the buyers participated in all the homework and were very active in the group. And 25% of the buyers purchased from the replay, which means they were too busy to actually go through the 5-day challenge. But I had a replay page with everything in one place, and I just sent it out. I'm like, hey, if you didn't have time to check this out, that's cool. Here's everything in one place. Go for it. So 25% of the buyers came from that replay. I worked about 167 hours to put this all together. Those are just my hours without my team, although I did do a lot of work on my own. I did farm out one of my funnels, although I made 3 on my own, and I farmed out 1 design piece, although I made over 40 on my own. So I did a mixture of working for myself and also letting the team contribute. That's why the cost of how much I paid my team wasn't too high. And I had extra time, and also this was my first challenge, so I really wanted to be involved in the entire process. So me, myself, and I worked 167 hours, and that came to, if you wanted to divide it up, $86 an hour is what I paid myself for the work that I put in. Now, that's just an interesting stat to have, but my time is not valued on an hourly rate, but it's just interesting to see. And so I closed my business at 5.33%. That was our close rate, which is really good, especially because when you do a challenge or you do a webinar or something like that, you should expect a 1% return. So we got 5.33% return. And I will say that the numbers aren't officially in because the doors haven't closed and I still have a few more calls that booked. So these could be the numbers or they could be even better than that. And if they are, I'm going to come back here and edit parts of this podcast and just plug those in. So you might hear a little bit of a sound change. But basically, that was it. A very successful first challenge, I must say. It's a 5-figure launch. We made about $15,000, and that was with 3 weeks worth of work, and it was a lot of work, but totally worth it. So if this is something that you're considering in your business, I'd first look and see, like, do you have warm target market that you could pull from? Or if not, do you have the ad spend budget that you could put in there? Of course, I would like triple or quadruple our ad spend budget, knowing what I know now. If you had $2,000 to put in there, then you would get a ton of cold market traffic in the door. If you don't, you can do a mixture of what I did, warm and cold, which is organic traffic and paid traffic. But really, you need to have a lot of social proof, people who have been through your program, who have done this already, because when you are doing a challenge, you are like 100% on, and everyone's going to ask questions and everyone's going to want to learn more. And it's not necessarily the best way to test out the market. It's a great way to boost what you've already got going and what's already working for you, but it wouldn't be my go-to place when you're starting out and you have nothing to show for it just yet. There are other methods that I would suggest to do first so that you have social proof and you can get enough under your belt to be able to offer something towards the end of your challenge as well. That's very highly valuable. All right, so I hope me breaking down these numbers helped, and stick around for the next podcast episode where I'm going to be talking to you about what happens if things go unplanned or things go the way you didn't plan, especially as it relates to tech issues. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon and have a wonderful, beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Tips with Meliss podcast at www.marketingtipswithmeliss.com.
Oh, wait, before you go, if you think you'd like to work with the Meliss marketing team one-on-one, I invite you to apply for your first class strategy call. This process is just as much an interview for us, seeing if you're a great fit for our agency, as it is for you, seeing if we are your great fit. Unlike other agencies, we only take on clients we know we can help. So if you think you're ready to get support with your content creation, lead magnets, sales funnels, and/or Facebook ads, let our agency help you take your business to the next level. Each month, we open up just a few spaces on our client roster for your opportunity to be able to work with our amazing team. Apply now at go.melissmarketing.com/apply, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.